kind of like a listener's appreciation moment too, because I mean
Man,
they rocking with us. They've been
man.
rocking with us for this time too. So I say we reach out on the page or whatever, and folks that usually send in their questions or things they have, um, shoot, call in or we call them. They say that on the mic. We have a little
That's a
conversation,
brilliant idea, G.
and then peace out. I mean, especially because
That's the
right
100.
now we can't really
That's the
we can't
100.
really be in the same room, but we could definitely reach out and have a conversation with everybody, and everybody has their moment on the online too.
That's how we do the 100. That's a brilliant idea. Because this is an ode to the listeners. Like from the very first time we started the show, I tell the story all the time. The iteration of the show as it exists now was always a plan from the rip. Uh, and just based on how L and Poe are wired
We
specifically,
just
it's
don't
like
have our cool meter, man. It's good. He bowed out.
I know he'll be back. I'm confident he'll be back at some point when it makes sense. But I remember approaching him about it before the initial show started, where I was just interviewing people, and I still want to bring. I talked to Elle about bringing the interview portion back and doubling up on the episodes, and I think we're gonna figure that out. But it was always I just L and Poe specifically have such a unique perspective and approach to life, um, and they're two of my favorite thinkers um, that exist, and that includes the celebrity and the famous people that we all know. Like they still sit at the top of the list for me because of how their thoughts and approaches go beyond just a thought and an approach. It's application, right? So you can study, you can have all these things, but there's another. It's a completely different thing to apply it and live it. And
And we ain't got no ties, man. Keep it real, bro.
keep it real.
Ain't got no ties, bro.
But I wanted to showcase that because I think the visual representation, like people can immediately dismiss us for something completely different without any context and without the story being told. And what kept happening is like I was waiting for people to cover things the way we talk about them. And I remember Gary Vee, me and Push talked about it. It's like, yo, Gary Vee's like, yo, the worst thing you could do is not do something because somebody already doing it.
Mm.
And that shit, because I've been talking about doing nigga, how long I've been talking about doing a podcast? And then Joe started doing it, was like, oh, I can't do one now. And it's such a goofy thought process, especially when you think about it in hindsight. It's like, oh yeah, we can. We can and we are, and now we're here. And the listeners are what keep that going. And so the idea that people tune in every week, Flo and a few other people asked like, yo, what are your listeners? And I was like, yo, we do like 600. And they're like, y'all got 600 people that listen to the show every week? And it was like, yeah, I thought that was low. That's a lot of people. And I was like, oh damn, I didn't know that was a lot. I had no idea that was a lot of, because I'm seeing Joe Rogan, Joe Budden, and It's the Real and Bodega Boys. But and that's the part you forget is like they had a whole run where it wasn't that many people tuning in. Tax Stone, Combat Jack, like they had a run where it was just me listening to the shit. Come on, man. So it takes time, but even I forgot that it takes time. So when we hit 60, um, the platform that we use reached out like, yo, congrats. Like y'all are in a percentile that is less than 7% to get to the 60th episode. I'm like, word? And then you start looking at it, it's like, yeah, less than 7% of shows make it past the 20th episode. I'm like, well, wait, that's crazy. So now approaching 100 is I don't know, man. It's just I'm just grateful to fuck with something that long, like
That's real.
and not have it be attached to this weird concept of success, because even music for me still is tethered to this strange validation that don't have shit to do with me. Like I'm not in control of having hella fans and being hella lit, whatever that means. I'm glad, and I'm glad to say that I'm back to a point where I'm expressing and writing and telling stories for me, depending on how I feel that day. I'm so proud to be back there, but if I'm being honest, there was a time where I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, so it's been a real special journey to get back here
Mm-hmm.
and to do it this way, and to be consistent with it, and then everybody that's fucked with us along the way. Like people, like we say it all. We laugh like, yo, had no idea this person was listening, and it'd be the most random person that'll reach out, be like, yo, like nigga, y'all didn't drop last week, nigga. What's up? Like, oh shit, like
Y'all impressed.
didn't know niggas was waiting like that, you know.
Give you the virtual him up, bro. Like, all right, man. My bad.
All right, man, you got it. And it's special, you know. And now and going forth and trying to continuing to grow it and see, you know, if this is 100, what does 200 look like? You know, what's 250 look like? And getting up there and then growing and expanding the network. We've been talking about the talk has been whether Charlemagne is going to stay at Breakfast Club and all that shit, and he can't. You know what he, Chris Morrow, and Combat Jack saw. They started the Loudspeakers Network, bro. If it's 2020, they started loudspeakers in probably like 13. You know, they saw the vision for having a podcast network 7 years ago, almost a decade ago. God bless Combat Jack and everything he stood for and helping other shows sort of develop just a consistency. Because Combat Jack wasn't no time off with the Combat Jack show. Like, wasn't a seasonal thing. You know, everybody else kind of treat Combat Jack and Mark Maron are the only niggas I know that's been doing it every week.
Yeah.
What? You know? So you're right, G. This is a listener's appreciation deal more than anything, because I don't know how seriously we still rocking if we didn't know people were tuned in. And I think our parents feedback has been the dopest thing.
Yeah.
My dad was just like, bro, he's like, I learned so much from y'all.
Yeah, we had great moments. Like that moment in the studio was amazing, man. It was so much great energy in that room at that moment.